Welcome everybody to this, our second area gathering, covering roughly the west of Norfolk. Lovely to see you. Well, nearly see you. I can see Dave, can't see the rest of you, but we'll perhaps see you later. Purpose of the day is really to allow you to connect, perhaps around issues or ideas of mutual interest. We did find with the first area gathering, which was North Norfolk, that was very useful in terms of people making contact around specific project ideas and so on. We are a small group today. Let's see how we go. We don't have to use the whole hour. We don't want to. And also, if you'd like to obviously join up after the event today, then we can facilitate that by sharing emails and so on if you want to do that. So I think, first of all, I think probably you all know me. I'm Nigel, convener of the North Green Care Network. And perhaps if you could briefly introduce yourselves and bit about what you do, where you are, what your interests are, and I suppose any topics that you'd like to explore today, really, given we have this sort of West Norfolk focus. I'll go round in order on the screen. David, you're first.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm David Hawkyard. I'm the project coordinator for the Norfolk Master Composter Scheme. It's a partnership between Norfolk County Council and Garden Organic, so I work directly for Garden Organic. Garden Organic based in the West Midlands in Coventry, and the kind of national charity for promoting organic gardening. So I run the Norfolk Master Composter Scheme. We've got around about 80 volunteers around the county who just are ambassadors for home composting, and just go out into their communities and promote the messages around home composting and how easy it is to do and how to do it. So we kind of do kind of face-to-face advice to people, and we run a number of workshops. We're doing about 14 throughout the county this summer, and we attend events with displays. So I think that's about it for me.
Thanks. I'm glad to say you're coming to one of our events, aren't you? A joint event with my local church, Earth Day, the 22nd of April. Big plug there. Great all day event. And will you be outside? Would you like an outside stall or inside?
Yeah, we can go outside if you want. We've got a couple of gazebos we bring along, so it's usually a bit better outside because we've got a little bit more room to bring some more of our props along, I suppose.
That would be good if you can. I think we've got a few displays outside as well with gazebos. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Anything particularly you'd like to talk about today, David, or explore?
No, not particularly. Just to make contacts, really. Okay. I mean, around any growing projects as well, because I mean, I specialise in, in the composting side of things, but Garden Organic obviously have got to do quite a lot of outreach work around the country, involved in community growing. So I can certainly act as a conduit for that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Tabs, you're next, I think. Oh, she's gone. Put her on the spot, she disappears. There we are. Well, Tasha is down to you.
And apologies, I can't have my camera on. I've got poor connectivity, so I don't want to risk it. But yeah, I'm Tasha Higgins, and I'm Funding and Projects Manager at Community Action Norfolk. So a charity that works across Norfolk, supporting community groups, charities, a wide range of the voluntary sector, with a wide range of different issues and support, from governance, finding funding, and also working on those kind of strategic conversations. I'm here technically on behalf of my colleague Jackie Cushing, who is our West Norfolk locality manager. So we have a particular kind of emphasis and strong relationships and work that we do in West Norfolk. So that's kind of one of the particular reasons for coming along today.
Good. Yeah, nice to see you. What was I going to say? Yeah, one of the things we've been exploring with Voluntary Norfolk about these area gatherings is whether we open them up to a wider audience, but trying to keep a sort of a green focus, if you like, to the gatherings, but it might well be appeal to other organisations or individuals that want to find out a bit more about what's going on in the green world, if I put it that way. So that's maybe something you could promote for us if we go down that route as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to mention it later, but I'll mention it now.
Yeah, please do.
Was that we run a West Norfolk BTSE voluntary community social enterprise hub, and we do sessions roughly every 6 weeks, and where we have for each session we choose a topic as well as having time for kind of general conversation, and that's the whole spread of topics, you know, across the whole range of issues and topics that talked about in the voluntary sector. But we do on occasions, as I'm sure you know, Nigel, have sometimes a green
Yeah.
topic, or that, you know, ones that are more pertinent to your group. So yeah, happy to kind of either discuss now or kind of, you know, offline if there would be ways that we can kind of join up that thinking that you're having around the area gatherings and the kind of established BTSE hub that we've got in the West, that was obviously very broad remit from our perspective.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. I mean, you know, it makes sense to sort of focus our efforts, doesn't it, really, rather than spread the jam thinly, because we're a small group today, and it may be, you know, we find we run out of steam fairly soon, which isn't a problem. It's just, you know, we're trying these things out, and that's the way it goes. Okay, that's great. Anything other than that you'd like to pick up on today, Tasha?
No, it was ready to kind of, you know,
Go back
listen
sleep.
to
I'm just on a phone
and
call,
support
sorry.
colleagues.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Tabs, you've joined us again. I thought I'd driven you off by putting you on the spot.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got a very good signal at the moment, so
Okay.
that's why I keep dropping in and out.
Right. Well, let's press on as we can. Would you like to introduce yourself and any particular things you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, I am Tabitha from Fenzen, which is a community interest company in Denver near Downham Market. We do lots of nature connection events and things, but obviously the main reason I'm part of your group is because we have a community garden, which we also have volunteer days, so we have you know, lots of conservation work going on our site. But yeah, we're trying to sort of establish our community garden.
Excellent. And would you like to talk about really help you can get with that? Is that one of the things you'd like to explore today, or other things?
I'm just here to sort of meet other people in the area, really, to
Okay.
see who's around, and yeah, any help we can get would be good, but just really kind of to see who else is in West Norfolk.
Yeah, good. I mean, David obviously talked about Garden Organics support for community gardening. Have you been in touch with them at all?
No, I hadn't heard of them. No, that sounds really good. Yeah, yeah, we do lots of composting on the site. We use our chickens to make compost, so that's, you know, with our food scraps and stuff. So yeah, that would be good.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, Tabitha, if we can kind of swap email addresses, I can send you details of and we've got a you know, national website you can look out for getting information off and making contact with us. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Would you like to say a little bit more about Garden Organic support? I mean, obviously the master composters is one area of that, David, but they do provide other support, don't they? I mean, I know the days of master gardener have now passed, but
yeah, it's a shame really, because so we tend to be quite area based. So the funding comes from, certainly for like the master composter schemes, comes from local authorities. So we're kind of dotted around the country rather, but we do also do, like you said, Nigel, master gardener type schemes. So that's like growing buddies basically. So it's people that go and you know, and help community gardens like yourselves, just to you know, to help them get set up and give the, you know, information about growing and organic growing in particular. So at the moment we've got some projects in Wales that we're running at the moment on community growing, and obviously we're, you know, quite involved with the Green Care Network, and anything, you know, any kind of opportunities there are around that. So we tend to work with kind of volunteers, act as ambassadors. That's the way we kind of approach work. although we do have so we're based at Wrighton Organic Gardens in Wrighton on near Coventry. So we've got a kind of headquarters there with lots of support staff.
Fabulous start, fabulous site with lots of very interesting displays and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got a heritage seed library based there. So so basically, yes, it's a heritage, a seed library of heritage plants that you can become a member of and make use of that kind of resource.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of stage are you at, Tabitha, with the community garden? Is it sort of well established, or are you struggling to get volunteers? What's the situation?
It's well, because we've got a big old market garden, organic market garden on site, so it's sort of at the edge of that. So we kind of piggyback on the market garden, and so if there's any jobs that need doing in the market garden, then we go over into that. And if there's nothing to do, because obviously, well, not obviously, but it's at its early stages, so we're just got sort of planning at the moment, which isn't great, because obviously we need to be getting things into the ground. So it's our first year, our first season, so the ground is prepped and everything, but because we do no dig, we need the beds prepared and everything. So I think this year is probably just going to be mainly helping and learning in the main market garden, rather than actually establishing much, if you know what I mean. I've applied for lots of funding, but nothing's come through yet. But
So you've applied for funding?
Yeah, I've applied for 2 lots of funding for that. That's all I do in January and February, is just apply for funding. So, and I lose track. I have got a spreadsheet of what I've applied for, but a lot of the time I lose track of what I've applied for and that sort of thing.
Know the feeling.
It's a big task, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. I mean, I guess from what you've said, it maybe is, again, you won't be able to do much this year, but I guess if you've got a few beds in a condition where you can at least make a start, you can sort of edge towards gradually growing it larger and larger. Is it I'm just thinking about with Tasha. I mean, Tasha, are you able to help at all in terms of promoting projects and getting volunteers? Is that something CAN does?
So in terms of the volunteer side, that would be more Voluntary Norfolk in terms of the volunteer kind of recruitment and involvement. But I know that colleagues at Community Action Norfolk have supported tabs in with kind of looking at different funds and the kind of project development side of things, rather than the specific volunteer aspect, if that makes sense. So do tabs. I don't know how recently we had contact with you, but if you do want to strike up another conversation, if there's other things we can be doing, then do get in touch with either myself directly or kind of colleagues.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have a monthly volunteer day, so people sort of hop on board with that. But we also do our community garden session is on a Monday. But so far, it's just been me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's down to I do so many events. It's just really down to promotion and kind of keep reminding people, because I use social media quite a lot, so it's just a case of reminding people on there, because things are so quickly yesterday's news, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know your area very well, but I mean, you're in Denver, are you? Or close to Denver? Is that a village that's got a reasonable population that you can draw on, or do you get your volunteers from further afield?
Generally further afield, yeah. Denver's quite a small village, and we have had a couple of people from Denver, but I have been in contact with Volunteer Norfolk as well. A guy from there came and looked around, but I think that was probably about 18 months ago. So I need to kind of get back to him and say, we're ready for volunteers if there are any, and just keep the word out there, really.
Yeah,
because Voluntary Norfolk's got a really good online portal, haven't they? For
exactly.
Yeah, they get involved voluntary portal. Yeah.
All right, I don't know if I'm on there. I'll have to check.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
I can send you some information tabs, you know, after the meeting, just
Yeah,
some
please.
links that might be useful, from that volunteering side.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I
think-
I speak very highly of that portal. We've just recruited 3 out of 4 volunteers via that route to help with the Green
wow.
Care Network. Obviously
Wow.
depends on what you want and so on and how specific you are. But I think if you're, you know, obviously used to using social media,
Yeah.
you know, you might attract, we've attracted 3 fairly young people, which is great. And I guess, you know, that's the way of the world, isn't it? Youngsters will be tapping into that sort of portal rather than perhaps looking at, I don't know, flyers or newspaper ads or whatever it might be. Anyway.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
We've-
if you, sorry, no, go on, Tam.
We've got one very special volunteer who works at Sandringham, so I really want to keep hold of him.
Excellent.
He's got some. He's quite young as well. Actually, he's doing an apprenticeship in the gardens at Sandringham.
Oh,
So
right.
he comes with an amazing wealth of knowledge. But
Yeah,
it is sometimes it's not quantity, it's quality, isn't it?
yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
yeah, that sounds good. I mean, is that an area, I mean, notwithstanding what you've just said, is that an area where you could do with a bit more advice and support about, I mean, growing things? I mean, how I suppose, how knowledgeable are you in those that are running the site?
My partner runs the organic market garden, and
Right.
he's very, very knowledgeable. Yeah, so anything I need help with, I just ask him. But you know, every day's a school day, so I would never say no to help. You know, there's always a different way of looking at things, isn't there? So
Indeed.
yeah, any help would be good.
Yeah. How long have you actually been running the community garden side of things?
We established it and started promoting it in October, and but it's been so wet over the winter months. It's, you know, it's not really, people just don't want to come. Even my normal events, people aren't really coming out for. So we've had a couple of sessions where we had a couple of families come along, but then it was Christmas, and then in February we've had sort of people saying they're going to come and then they haven't come. So it's never really got off the ground yet, but that's okay, because it's just one of our projects, if you know what I mean. And it's not our only thing we're working on. So it's there, it's ready to go. A little bit of work's been put into it, and we kind of answer the needs of the community, really. So if the community aren't wanting it, then we don't put our energy in that area too much, if that makes sense.
Do you have any links with local GPs or primary care practices at all?
Apart from a doctor friend, no, I don't.
Because again,
that's a good idea.
You've probably heard of social prescribing.
Yes, yeah.
I
used to do art on prescription. I'm an artist,
right.
so I used to do art on prescription. But yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I mean, it's a growing area, and I'm involved in some discussions across Norfolk and Waveney about developing green social prescribing a bit more in the coming year. You may know that there've been 7, I think they're called test and learn sites nationally, that have been looking at different ways of providing green social prescribing, particularly for people with mental health issues. And they're about to report, I think, probably the end of this month, if not April, a sort of interim evaluation of those sites, which I think will make very interesting reading. There's already been some very interesting approaches and developments on that front. And
yeah, no, I hadn't heard of that, actually. I've done a course called Gardenizer Pro. Have you heard of that?
Say again, please.
Gardenizer Pro.
Vaguely familiar. Say a bit more.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, that is actually a course which is has been developed by I can't remember who it's been developed by, but it's like it's all over the world, so it's not just in English and a British thing, a UK thing, and it basically teaches you over 10 weeks. So it's a really intense course how to run a community garden.
Okay.
So it goes right from the basics right up to all the health and safety that you need, all the forms you need, all the financial side of things, budgeting,
Yeah.
even down to like planning what you want, where you want it, looking at who you want to come and making things accessible. But yeah, it's really good. I'd definitely recommend it, and I've done it, so I've now got my Gardenizer Pro license, they call it, to
Well
run
done.
a
Mhm.
community garden. But yeah, I kind of did that first so that I knew what I was doing, basically. So yeah, I'm now ready to do it. The ground's ready, everything's ready. I just don't have anyone to do it.
Yeah.
Well, we're at that sort of tipping point in the year, aren't we? Seasonally, it's becoming
Yeah,
longer days and
definitely.
warmer days, hopefully.
Yeah.
And people, a bit like I was saying earlier, I want to get out there and do something for an hour or two. And if you haven't got your own garden, or even if you've got your own garden, but you want to go somewhere where you can work with others, that's great.
Are you in
Yeah.
touch with any other community gardens in the county, Tabitha? Because I'm thinking there's Eves Hill Veg Company, isn't there, over Reefham Way?
Yeah, Aylsham now they're based. Yeah.
Aylsham, yeah.
No,
Just-
I'm
just-
not. I'm in touch with a little community garden. We've been there today, actually, and that is called Artemisia. But they're more like a sort of specialised herbalist community garden. So they've got a community pharmacy, community herbal pharmacy, and we all help grow the herbs to go into the pharmacy, which is really interesting. And also Norwich Farm Share.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah. But just going back to the health connections, I mean, obviously it's an area you need to be very careful about, but it might be worth you making contact with local GP surgeries and saying, we're here, and if there are people that come through your doors that you think would benefit from volunteering in a community garden like ours, then maybe that's something you can do for them.
Yeah, really good idea. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else we can touch on for you today, Tabs, or do you think that's a few leads to follow up? And I was going to say we can share email addresses, perhaps. I'll do that in the follow-up email to you, so you can pursue those individual bits of advice and help and so on.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's something to be getting on with, isn't it? And how often are we going to be having these little gatherings? Hopefully next time we'll have a better connection.
Yeah, I mean the first one, even though it was actually a bit bigger than today, I think we had about 8 or 9 people on that call. Said, yeah, it was really useful. We ought to do it again. I think they said, David, you were on that one, weren't you? Was it about was it about 2 months' time? I think I've fixed another date for North.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
so
yeah,
perhaps 2 or 3 months' time. But I mean, it's entirely up to you. Obviously, you're a small group today, but if you think there'd be value in doing that, and hopefully word will spread, and people will see some benefit in coming along and having the sort of conversation we're having, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Tasha, I was going to ask you from the CAM point of view. Obviously, you know about the Green Care Network, and we know a bit about you. I mean, are there areas where you think we can work more closely together?
Well, I think I think what we just mentioned in that kind of if you're kind of that direct, one of the few directions of travel is that kind of locality, kind of area specific development. As I said, we've got kind of strong connections in West Norfolk, but we've also do what we call a referrers network. So we're developing a referrers network in North Norfolk and different things. So I just think there's that kind of shared coordination, or kind of, as you said, not kind of stringing, having that kind of collective and kind of coordination around what gatherings are happening and kind of when they're happening, just to ensure people's time are kind of best used, but also, as you say, responding to what people want. So I think, that kind of drawing up an understanding of each other's activity, I suppose, in terms of that kind of networking, because I think it's so valuable. As even the small number of us here, we've already had lots of kind of connections and sharing of knowledge and things, so that the network opportunities are really important, but it's also that as we hear from different people, it's that being wary of people's time, isn't it, and not having too many of them.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, it makes sense to combine sessions in the way that we've started to talk. I think, if only for that reason, that people do find There's a lot of these things going on these days, aren't there? Particularly with the growth of Zoom and Teams and so on. Yeah, I've always, one of the issues I find is, what day, what time of the day, what day do you try and put these things on, because it never satisfies everyone. So I guess I sort of jump around from this sort of end of afternoon time to, you may have seen, we've started running something called Lunch and Learn, which is literally an hour over 12 till 1 roughly, in order to try and catch people who may have a lunch break and want to come along and listen to something interesting perhaps, or contribute to something. So there are those sort of issues.
Yeah, we found with the West Norfolk BTSC Hub, that Community Action Norfolk ones, what we find quite successful is that we've kept the time the same that we do each of the kind of roughly 6 weekly sessions, but we varied the day, so there is that kind of a bit of continuity in that people always know what time it will be, but we vary the day to allow, recognizing people's different working patterns.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, something we might think about doing. Yeah, great. The other thing I just wanted to mention to you, you may well be aware of this from emails and stuff that you've had from me and so on, but we're just about to take a couple of steps towards trying to hopefully make networking even easier within our network. I mean, obviously these events and other online things are helpful, but one of the ideas, and there's actually, I think, an email going out either today or tomorrow from our communications lead, Maddie Goodall, about the register that we have of members, and basically asking people if they'd like to add their contact details and perhaps a bit about their interests or their role, if you like, on that register, which we then share around the membership. Obviously it needs to be optional, because obviously you have to be prepared to share those details within the membership, and there's an onus on the membership not to share that, outside the membership, as it were, without permission. So that's one thing that's going to come along soon. And the other thing, which I suppose is building on something we've been doing for a while now, is this members exchange, which is at the moment, it's an online Google spreadsheet where, Tabitha's gone, where we're making it possible for people to put in areas in which they need help, or offers of help that they can give, or support that they can give, a sort of exactly a members exchange, really. It's worked to a degree, I think, but I think partly because of the presentation of it, it's just a basic spreadsheet, and also because I think to work effectively you need to be reminded to sort of go and look at it. So we're going to follow in the footsteps of Voluntary Norfolk. We've got this thing called Padlet, which you may have come across, which is literally an online notice board where you can go on, obviously having registered, and do exactly what I was just saying in terms of the members exchange, put down things that you want help with, or things that are on offer, or opportunities that are available, and things like that. And I think what we'll try to do is to sort of send out reminder emails, and perhaps through our newsletters, to people to take a look at it, because I think that's one of the things that Voluntary Norfolk do very well. They sort of update you on what's new on the Padlet. So there might be some, something that's very interesting, but unless you know that, you wouldn't necessarily go to the site to look at it. I think that's the sort of approach we're developing as well. Do you do anything like that at all, Tasha, or is that not really, because your role is not quite as sort of voluntary basis and based in the same way as Voluntary Norfolk?
Not in the same way. We're kind of, in terms of that kind of day-to-day, we work with more kind of community buildings, village halls, charity, organize different organizations, from all the different forms of organizations and community groups. So it's more kind of sharing tailored information to our different audiences within that. So we do different newsletters on to different target groups and things like that. So it's that kind of proactive sharing of targeted information, rather than that kind of more general kind of notice board, if that makes sense.
I can see the sense of that. Okay. The other things to perhaps just briefly mention, which you may already be aware of, is I mentioned the Earth Day event that David's volunteers are coming along to. It's on the 22nd of April at our local church, Havringland, just about 10 miles north of Norwich. And that's going to see in the morning the launch of a campaign called First Nature, which we've been helping to develop, which is all about expanding nature connection opportunities for children and young people across the county. And that's shaping up really nicely, actually. We had a very good meeting about that this morning. We're about to develop a standalone website for the campaign, which will have a whole host of information on there of use to people interested in perhaps logging what's already going on in terms of nature connection opportunities for children, but also, you know, links to what the evidence shows of the benefits, and, you know, some of the aims and objectives of the campaign and so on. So that's going to launch on the morning of that event on 22nd of April. And then there'll be a couple of other presentations. And in the afternoon, the church, where I'm a church warden, I'm project manager for a lottery project that we've been successful with there. We're going to be launching our Living Landscape project, which is all about working with local landowners in a sort of coordinated way to improve biodiversity. So it may be about tree planting, hedge planting, pond creation, meadow creation, whatever it might be. We've had a conservation churchyard for a number of years, and basically we're sort of using that as the starting point and hoping to get other landowners and the community on board to take that sort of coordinated approach across quite a large area. So that's quite exciting, and again, building up quite an interesting project, I think. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the Green Care Festival, again, which you may have heard of through emails. We've got that coming up in the summer. We've got a launch event at the Plantation Garden in Norwich on the 22nd of July. I think that's 12 till 4. If you wanted a stall there, you need to shout fairly quickly because the space is quite limited, and I think we've got quite a few people already interested. But that's an opportunity, obviously, just to kick off the festival, which runs for the following 2 weeks. And if you've got events, I'm thinking particularly of you, David, if you've got master composter demonstrations or events that you want to promote during those 2 weeks following that, then we can slot them into the programme and promote them for you.
Yeah, that's great. And we actually have got 3 of our workshops around the county going on that week, and I've sent details actually to. Is Di coordinating?
Diane, yes, Diane Davies is. That's right. Yeah, good.
I have sent details, so I think they're going to go in the festival program, I think.
Yeah, great. And likewise, Tasha, if you or through you can promote the idea to the groups you work with and say, you know, if there's anything that people want to put on, which is broadly speaking an environmental event, if you like, but obviously from the green care point of view, if it's particularly focused on promoting health and well-being in some way, then yeah, let us know and let me know, and I can put you in touch with Diane, who's coordinating things at our end.
Yeah, thank you. I've made a note of all those things.
Yeah, lots of them taken on now. Good. Well, is there anything else we want to cover today? I mean, we're a little bit short of an hour, but I mean, you know, we don't need to stretch it out. We don't need to. Anything else? Or again, what are your thoughts about meeting again? I appreciate it's only 2 of you here now, but do you think it's worth putting a date in again in, say, 3 months' time? Well, with June, wouldn't it? I think, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be worth it, wouldn't it? And certainly trying to promote it, you know, to try and get a few more people to come and come on the call. But yeah.
I think we found from a kind of Community Action Norfolk's perspective that people do really value that having that kind of locality geographic focus, that, you know, in terms of those local connections and that kind of local working. So I think there is really value in having those kind of that focuses.
Yeah, that was I think the general message from the North Norfolk one as well. So what I'll do then is roughly 3 months from today, I'll put a date in the diary, and I'll put that in a follow-up email to you with your emails revealed, so you can, you know, get in touch with each other as well. If there's nothing else, thank you very much for your time. Nice to see you, and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Nigel. And
Yeah.
in that email, Nigel, I'll probably get in touch and set up to have a chat with you soon, just because on the you mentioned about that report about social prescribing coming out.
Yes.
And we've actually planning our next West Norfolk VCSE hub session in April about that kind of connection between voluntary community groups and those connector roles. So not just
Oh,
social
right.
prescribing, but health and
Yeah.
wellbeing coaches
Yeah.
and all the different various roles
Yeah.
that we have in the county.
Yes, it's run in West Norfolk by what's the organisation called? Abbreviation, isn't it? The is it life beyond life beyond years or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, I think they run the connectors role, don't they, or the link worker role? And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So we've got a few people who've we tend to invite speakers to at least have a couple of speakers who we know will be coming to do a short kind of 10-minute informal, so they don't have to do any slides or anything, just to talk about what they're doing. So we've got, for example, the social prescribing lead for QEH who's coming obviously to talk from their perspective. So it'd be great to if you've got any thoughts, or or yourself would like to come to talk, or any kind of colleagues within the network that you would suggest we reach out to, who you think would be good to be part of it, from that green, the green social prescribing.
Well, happy to, subject to dates and places, etc. Happy to come along and contribute. As I say, I think the reports, they're interim reports, so I'm not sure how publicly available they're going to be, but there's an awful lot coming out. There's a toolkit in the making to help develop green social prescribing as well at a local level, and also at a local level. Have you heard of Claire Dyke? I don't know if you come across Claire Dyke.
Yes, Claire,
yeah. I mean, you probably know she's the social prescribing lead for the integrated care system. And she's pushing ahead with a series of conferences, and also I attended the first meeting of a steering group yesterday, which is developing a strategy for social prescribing locally as well. So there is quite a lot of activity starting to build up. And as I was saying earlier, with all this publications and so on from the national project on green social prescribing, I think we've got a fantastic opportunity to push ahead on that in the coming months and years as well. Yeah,
and that's what we thought. There's so much happening, as you say, not just in green social prescribing, but also in all the different I'm going to call them connector roles. So we thought it was quite timely to kind of focus on that, to support people's understanding of all the different things that are going on at that local West, specifically certainly. West Norfolk level. Yeah, well, let me, I'll email you a say and just get in touch and let me know what you'd like me to do, and we'll see whether we can arrange something. Great, thank you, Nigel. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay,
you too.
bye for now.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.